And we are the Non-Prophets, is how it begins. This is a travesty. Denis Loubet, Ashley Perry, Jamie Boone, and Kevin Stein are spreading lies and innuendos about Christian. Live at the Free Thought Library in Austin, Texas on the 3rd of October 2018. Our churches on every street corner are helpless against this monstrous oppression. This is a concerted partisan attack by the Atheist Community of Austin, a non-profit educational organization for the promotion of positive atheism and the separation of church and state. If you want to hear more about how the pillars of our theocracy, like creationism and prayer in schools, is threatened, you can call their voicemail at 512-220-6561 or visit their website at www.atheist-community.org. The Non-Prophets shouldn't be allowed to broadcast live every first and third Wednesday of each month from 7:30 to 9 Central Time to completely drown out the voices of the faithful. All the networks and radio stations and TV shows and megachurches and rock bands and books and magazines and missionaries and street preachers and politicians and celebrities can't possibly be heard over the noise in their chat room that's joined by following the directions at www.nonprofitsradio.com. So turn away and listen not to their facts and logic, but hold fast to your faith in a 200-year-old book.
Well played, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was amazing.
That got emotional.
Yes. I'm now doubly, disappointed that the ACA doesn't have a good working calendar.
Yeah, I know. That would be perfect. I was pulling a little bit of a Kavanaugh there, yes.
Only a little bit.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome, Non-Prophets, and welcome back to being on camera at the ACA, Ashley.
Yay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
How long has it been since you were on camera here?
Give or take a decade.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, I'll take an extra decade if I can, but so you were one of the earlier hosts on the Atheist Experience.
Exactly, Atheist Experience. I started going to ACA meetings in it was probably around 2000, and just came across a TV show one morning. Jeff and Martin, I think, were hosting at the time. Started going out to the bagel shop meetings at the time.
Wow.
Started dinking around on the show, being crew, and eventually took over as co-host and then host. So,
and now you're back to take over as as host or co-host again. No.
I don't know about that.
All right,
we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you guest appear in any case.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then welcome back for second week running, Kevin Stein.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, things gonna go better than this week, hopefully.
We set the bar pretty low, so yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
I'm going to make a prediction and say yes.
Yeah, with the power of prophecy. Hopefully, Dennis didn't watch us last week. You don't have to say what.
No.
And
It was a little off the cuff.
You weren't here. It was that was led by me down a hill into, I don't know, into something that wasn't quite the Non-Prophets.
You said it.
Well, I wasn't there.
It's true. You weren't there to save us. Hopefully, I won't end up doing that again. But in any case, I think we can get to our first story, which actually is hot off the presses and less than 12 hours old, because presumably all of y'all got your presidential alert test today from our dear leader, President Trump.
As luck would have it, I had misplaced my phone, and so that's when the message came in. But when I recovered my phone, I looked at the messages and,
Yeah. I originally heard a couple weeks ago that there was a system being put in place whereby the president would be able to message all people in America, presumably, directly on their phone. And I went, okay, this sounds like the kind of thing that Donald Trump or someone near him would ask for, but okay, the institutions of our country are stronger than that, right?
Exactly. I figured that those stories were more hype and sensationalism to get people to watch the news rather than reality.
Yeah.
I was worried that it was just going to be linked to his Twitter.
Yeah, I know. That's
God.
I think that was a lot of people.
that's what we'd expect.
Well, if you have a phone and are in the United States, presumably you know that it's not all hype and that it did happen, but I'm here to reassure you that this isn't something dreamed up by the Trump White House that was implemented immediately. Obviously, at the present moment, President Trump is in the White House, and so that's the administration that has the ACA'S, or it's a National Emergency Alert System. But no, actually, from what I was able to find about it, it actually was called for by President Bush and has been, in production ever since. Right? It uses the same system that Amber Alerts do.
Sure.
So there's this. Someone was claiming somewhere that you can't turn it off. I don't know that that's true. I know people who have found a way of disabling their Amber Alerts, but here. So from CNET. You have that. Oh.
He's going to send an alert. Smash your phone. Yeah.
No. So according to a FEMA post, the WEA system is used to warn the public about dangerous weather, missing children, and other critical situations through alerts on cell phones. The national test will use the same special tone and vibration as with all WEA messages, i.e., tornado warning, Amber Alert.
Right.
The text comes from the Integrated Public Alert Warning System, ACA'S. I don't know that anyone pronounces it that way. I've only read these stories. Which sends to every cell phone within the U.S. operating on a network run by a carrier opting into the wireless emergency alert system. And as far as I'm aware, that's the major carriers. So I don't know if you can get Cricket Wireless and then not be alerted that there's a tornado, but there's that. So
that would be a bit of an oversight.
Yeah, that would be a huge oversight.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it's cheaper. I don't know. But
I'm curious as to the scope on these things because from my understanding, it sounds, again, based on the naming and stuff like that, that this is a national thing that it goes out to everybody. I don't need to know about a tornado in Wichita.
That's true.
Right.
In Austin.
That should be local to Wichita.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, missing kids in
makes
California, okay, very sorry for them. I don't really
Yeah.
need to hear about it.
Yeah.
So-
and we don't get Amber Alerts for, L.A. or wherever.
Exactly. So how is this going to work? And
Yeah, it is sort of interesting that now there's access via, the administration. I mean, obviously, I don't know if someone has handed a remote to President Trump and told him, this is the button that you press if you want to send out an emergency alert at 3 a.m. that Hillary's being mean to you or whatever. But if it can be localized in that way, where it's like, okay, everyone in this area should receive this message, it's a troubling amount of power.
or
in
can I
general.
control which
Yeah.
kinds of messages I get? As in, I don't care about weather alerts
is.
and missing
Yeah.
kids.
Kinda
But
like-
if a bomb is incoming, I'd like to know about that.
Kind of like a targeted advertising thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if it can, narrow down beyond just what area it's focusing on. Probably because it's a national emergency system. Hopefully, the schematics of it are not entirely available online because more technically minded people than me that are much more nefarious than I am would exploit that. But I don't know.
Jamie, you're an atheist, though.
That's true.
That basically, you're
dun,
almost
Yeah.
the same level
Is
evil
he
as the
out?
devil, though, right?
Yeah. No,
I mean, yeah.
no gods will stop me. But
That's what I've heard.
I don't know. It's a lot of power. I realize the utility of it and the necessity of a public alert system. But I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on something this targeted and powerful being in the hands of an elected official with a party in general? Like, obviously, this president is concerning, but
Well, yeah, this could be really used to slant public opinion, to
Yeah.
manipulate public opinion.
yeah.
That's fair.
If it's used irresponsibly. But what are the odds of that?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
The scope of the content needs to be very narrow, you know?
Exactly. Like say, I don't want to be automatically signed into a news feed that's going to be buzzing me 3 times a day.
Oh,
yeah, I was gonna say.
So,
Yeah.
So you'd like to
Yeah.
not follow Trump on Twitter, is what you're saying?
well, generally, and I
Yeah.
think, and I think he is actually a big part of the outcry against this. If we were under some other president, they probably wouldn't have as big of an issue. It's the people getting histrionic over what is Trump going to do with this, and start complaining about Hillary's out to get me.
Yeah.
I would hope there's a lot more oversight on something like this than that. And given that I haven't seen anything on the highway billboard saying Hillary's out to get me, I think they're probably going to be fine.
Yeah, most presidents have been a lot more predictable in the past.
Exactly.
So.
Well, I mean, again, most presidents and in the past, it is sort of interesting if it's used for anything other than tornado, whatever. But that's what President Erdogan in Turkey was able to communicate over social media and Twitter during the coup or attempted coup, and that's how he was able to get his supporters to swarm the streets and do all of this.
I'm sorry, is that the correct pronunciation? There's Erdogan.
Erdogan, what did I say? I think I said Erdogan.
I heard a G.
Okay. Well, it is. I think it is Erdogan.
Not to get off topic, guys.
Well,
this is not last week.
Yeah.
This is not.
It sounds like a fantasy realm. It's
It's. I wish that I lived in the United States where they didn't have to worry about the president abusing a national alert system.
I know.
I mean, he already has Fox News. What does he need?
And Twitter.
And Twitter. So here, actually, I'll break with norms and do two bits of news in a row, unless anyone had something else to add on the cell phone alert doom system. I throw doom in there to make it more exciting.
I was mostly just surprised at the number of. Now, again, is this news reports just being news to get clicks or something like that? But a lot of the channels saying people are freaking out about this before it actually happened. In the terms of, I'm going to cancel my cell phone subscription. I'm going to turn off my phone at the time.
I'm sure that someone said that. People have very strong reactions when they're asked for their opinion.
I guess, but I mean, I'm always, I try and be the level-headed guy.
Okay.
And so, as much as I, may not agree with something, I'm not going to usually make a huge big stink about it.
Yeah.
Without good reason.
Yeah, and I mean, to be clear, as far as, this puts tools that could be used for authoritarianism in the hands of the federal government, those tools are already there in large part.
Exactly.
So it's already too late. We just have to cross our fingers. Even though that won't do anything, as I'm repeatedly told, because I do that on the air.
I'm waiting for Trump to brag about the ratings.
Of the
100% ratings for his emergency alert. Everyone
read it.
Everyone tuned in.
Yeah, wider subscription than the failing New York Times.
That's right.
More people read my messages than any other president in history.
Only because they don't have it in China, or do they? Probably. Anyway, we'll move on to our second story, which is it was recommended by, I believe it's Joan Stein Rediker on the Facebook discussion group, that the nominee for the Army Secretary, Mark Green, made the point of saying that public health care stops people from being saved by Christianity. Here, let me just read through the main parts of the story.
Yeah, I saw the video and it was rough.
Yeah, here, let me read it and familiarize everyone that hasn't heard of it. President Trump's now former pick, he withdrew his nomination, thankfully. Now former pick for Army Secretary once said, government-assisted healthcare is a, and quote, injustice because it hampers church-affiliated providers from converting people to Christianity. Mark Green, a state senator in Tennessee, told a church group in 2015 that sickness is one of the main avenues that bring people to religion, but that citizens in the United States now instead rely on the government to help them, limiting the Christian church's role. The comments shed more light on the conservative religious views that led Green, a physician and former Army flight surgeon, to withdraw his nomination on Friday after Democratic lawmakers and progressive advocacy groups raised an outcry in advance of the Senate confirmation hearings. So in some instances, I suppose, when there's an outcry, you don't even get confirmation hearings. Quote, the person who's in need They look to the government for the answer, not God. And I think that way government has done an injustice that's even bigger than just the creation of an entitlement welfare state, Green said. In this setting, I'll share the story. I think it intercepts the opportunity for people to come to a saving knowledge of who God is. End quote. Green has also spoken out against gay marriage, transgender bathroom rights, and the teaching of Islam in public schools, which apparently he thinks happens. All potential lightning rods for controversy when it comes to being confirmed as the Army's top civilian leader. His supporters said he was being targeted for his faith. A spokesman for Green did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the Washington Examiner, where I get this story. But top Democrats called his past statements disgusting, as well as, quote, extremely and deeply disturbing, end quote, and a variety of advocacy groups urged the Senate to reject his nomination due to what they deem homophobia, transphobia, and Islamophobia. Green, who has often spoken about his devout Christian faith, told the crowd in 2015 that he hoped to personally set up free healthcare clinics at churches throughout Tennessee. Green is the CEO of a for-profit emergency department staffing company that operates in several states. Quote, I see our sort of government-based assistance taking God out of the picture, Green said. If you look at the Gospels and you go and study the Gospels, every person who came to Christ with a physical need. It was either hunger or a disease. End quote. Some argue those in the Bible scripture who suffered from, quote, demon possession and asking to have that demon cast out was a spiritual need, end quote, but even that was manifest as physical health issues, according to Green. People go to God because of a physical need, and they walk away with a spiritual need met, he said. Mike Weinstein, president of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, which is an excellent organization that you should definitely take a moment to Google, said he was alarmed by the comments. No shit. That they were more proof that Green was unfit to be the Army secretary. Green would likely view, would likely view soldiers through the, quote, prism of his religious views, end quote, and single out those who did not fit in with his faith. The military allowed gay troops to serve openly in 2011, and last year permitted service by transgender troops.
He's being attacked for his faith.
He's being targeted for his faith. Targeted for his faith.
Absolutely.
There are occasions where being targeted for your faith is the correct response.
It's sort of the...
and this is one of them.
Yeah.
When your faith is that horrendous,
then
okay.
You'd think so.
Yeah.
I like how he said they walk in with a physical need and leave with a spiritual need met. That kind of implies that the physical need was not met.
Yeah, or at least that their physical need brought them in, but let me tell you a sermon I know. Yeah, fuck this.
His physical body is a temporary thing anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Catholics have the resurrection of the body as well, although that doesn't get around as well. It's sort of like, you're targeting people for their faith. You're targeting people for their faith, but that guy's a Muslim. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Do you really have a problem with evaluating people based on what they believe, or just you? I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, I want to go back to like the very first bit of, universal healthcare being.
Yeah. Ungodly.
Yeah, ungodly. A tool for secular society to turn people away from the church. So he's basically advocating for more suffering.
Yeah.
Right.
To put asses in pews.
And much like Mother Teresa.
That's where I was going to go.
Suffering is,
we're all
it makes you so wonderful.
It brings you closer to God. I don't ever quote memorize because I can't bring myself to take the time to memorize it word for word, but I'm barely paraphrasing here. It's, I don't want to reduce the suffering of the poor. It brings them closer to Christ or something, as Christ suffered.
Yeah.
I keep wondering if Christians, when they're saying the word morality, don't suddenly just burst into flame, because it's like...
There's no God to make them burst into flame when they say it.
That must be it.
Well, in any case, he withdrew his nomination, which is good. But thank you to Joan for, I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It's got 2 N's. Joan, for bringing that to our attention.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So, do you want to hit us with your first story?
Yeah, I suppose.
What do we get?
So the title of this is "Pedophilia Isn't the Main Problem with Catholic Priests. Homosexuality is."
Wrong?
Personally, I want to talk about just...
Cough. Sorry.
I want to talk more about just kind of that in particular, because I read this and it's vile. It really is. Although there was one tidbit that I wasn't aware of that's interesting. Homosexuality has been normalized, officially approved, ratified, and okayed since the American Psychiatric Association removed homosexuality from the roster of mental disorders in 1973.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, that was the DSM.
Completely normalized.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Everyone's okay with it now.
Yeah.
It's
Actually, one little thing that I thought was really funny. The author of this, Maureen Malarkey.
Well.
Wow. What are the odds of that?
Yeah.
I doubt she pronounces it that way, but I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does it, does it come from a normal source?
Oh, shit.
It's is it the one that you got from the...
It's from the Federalist.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, are you sure this isn't the Poe? Yeah, the Federalist. Oh, boy. No, wrong. All right, next story.
Well, that was quick.
I mean,
all right.
Jesus,
We have decreed.
it's all this like, you know what's really the issue? It's starting from a flawed premise as far as addressing issues is concerned, which is that like, you've brought up a problem. Instead of addressing it, I'm going to say something else, and then we'll talk about that. And then whatever we're talking about, that's what the problem is.
Right.
I mean, 1, homosexuality is not a problem. 2, pedophilia is. 3, fuck you, pedophilia is a problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to have an original thought as far as condemning pedophilia, but no, bad.
Yeah.
It's not something you can say. There's many fine people on both sides. No.
It's certainly not something I can say.
Yeah, some people can say that.
Yeah.
Well, somebody.
I don't know. I've forgotten your background. Were you Catholic?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Went to Catholic church, went to catechism, all of that, from a young age. Went to about 11th grade, something like that. And then I finally, I won't say outed myself, but it was my dad who was the one who was kind of making me go. My mom never really went to church. Stopped when she had kids, basically just kind of got out of the habit type thing. She was never as strongly religious as my dad.
Okay.
And so I was going, and I never really believed. I certainly wouldn't call myself an atheist, but I didn't buy into it. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to lay in bed and, test God. If you make the toy move just once, just a hair, I'm yours forever. Never did. So, that was the beginning.
How
of the
old
end.
were you when you were doing that?
Oh, probably 20, 25.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I tuned out for just a second because I was going through this, and I just imagined like a little tiny child. I'm like, wow,
That's
I'm impressed actually.
I was fairly young. I can't remember the exact time, but anyway,
Less impressed.
yeah, but
yeah.
but then I decided, no, I am getting absolutely nothing out of this. I do not want to go anymore. And my dad didn't much care for the idea, but Mom was like, he's old enough. If he's made the decision, cool.
Freedom.
So
Okay. So I'm actually interested because I'm but a young whippersnapper, so I don't remember the olden days of what as far as making public statements, the Catholic Church would say as far as homosexuality or whatever. I know that it wasn't until the 1960s that they stopped officially and publicly praying on like a weekly basis for the conversion of all Jewish people, because that was something that Jewish people were not big fans of.
I imagine not.
Don't know why.
They were sort of like, we get it. You don't like us. Move on. But was that before whichever wave of giant, scandal struck? Do you have much memory of scandals in the church?
Not really, no. Part of it is I grew up overseas.
Oh, okay.
England and Norway.
No wonder you're an atheist.
Partly, yeah.
So
it
was that damn healthcare. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a whole lot of exposure to the U.S. side of things. We came over once a year for Christmas, and that was pretty much it.
So you didn't have your, well, whatever. I was gonna say you didn't have your English Christmas goose, but so okay. Well, that answers my question, but doesn't leave me much follow up. So there's that. My question is, does anyone go for that? Does anyone buy that as an excuse, right? Like there's a bunch of sort of dumb excuses that apologists come up with, and some of them stick better than others, but like, oh, no, it's not that they're pedophiles, it's that they're pedophiles to the same gender isn't one that seems to stick very well.
Like it was mostly boys, therefore
their age is irrelevant.
It's only a gay problem.
Yeah, that seems wrong to me. I can't really put my finger on why. Maybe it's the child rape, but yeah. Lord, I don't know. Was this in response to something, or did they just get around to finally writing about it?
As far as I can tell, it's the latter.
They're just randomly vile people.
Randomly vile.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Dennis, do you have a listener mail for us?
No.
No? Okay. So then I will. Do you want a second?
No.
Okay.
No. It's total fail.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you're fine. Okay.
I thought it was gonna be too bad for you to, read out loud.
No.
I know that we got at least one talking about last week's show, and
Yes.
I can't fault them for that.
And the reason I can't find that one, so I must not be getting all the mail. I remember reading it, and then I can't find it in my client.
Okay.
So I got to figure things out.
Yeah, I looked a little bit in the Facebook group. Effectively, I haven't been doing the show justice as far as how it's traditionally gone.
Yes,
apparently
they're kind of thinking we're unfocused.
Well, it's very generous for you to use the word "we" there, Dennis. But to the listeners that are still around, I do apologize. I didn't create this show, and I realize that it has a distinct flavor, and I'm doing my best to start cooking with that recipe.
These are not failures. These are areas of opportunity.
That's right.
As soon as
there were a lot of opportunities last week, so.
I rewatched that as soon as I got up the next day, and I was cringing almost the whole time. Mostly at myself.
Well, I feel bad because it was your first episode, and then I ran all over the place with it. Megan's not here. Can we blame Megan? No, she's right there. I wanted to see if she flipped me off.
Things better.
Yeah, she just flipped us off.
Let's make things better. For example, I was about to say, by going to our next news story.
Yes.
But the next news story is about things not being better, which is that on Monday, the Trump administration began denying visas to same-sex domestic partners of foreign diplomats. A move one former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations labeled, aptly I think, quote, needlessly cruel and bigoted, end quote. Because
he forgot petty.
Yeah.
It was succinct, though.
Somehow our president manages to go on Twitter and not be succinct. I don't It's effective.
Not in his nature.
Not in his nature. So the policy change came into effect this week and will impact staff at organizations such as the UN, the World Bank, the IMF, and the administration originally flagged the policy back in July. Let's see. Quote, same-sex spouses of U.S. diplomats now enjoy the same rights and benefits as opposite-sex spouses, end quote. The U.S. mission wrote to UN-based delegations. Quote, consistent with State Department policy, partners accompanying members of permanent missions or seeking to join the same must generally be married in order to be eligible, end quote, for a diplomatic visa. So the problem with this is that it's only 12% of UN member states allow same-sex marriage. And there are just 25 countries around the world that recognize some form of same-sex marriage, which incredibly limits the ability of people in same-sex unions of any kind to serve in the diplomatic corps of the UN, the IMF, etc. And yeah,
Bad.
So they're in the extreme minority in this instance.
Yeah, no. So presumably there will be some countries. I don't know which other countries recognize. Ireland. I know that they're the first nation that had a referendum to allow same-sex marriage, and it passed, and they added it to their constitution, which is phenomenal. Go Ireland!
Yeah.
Was it Ireland or Scotland that just recently got rid of their blasphemy laws?
It was probably Ireland because there was. I can't say that I know that it was Ireland, but it was probably Ireland. There's been some stink about their blasphemy laws. I know Stephen Fry went there sometime last year or the year before and said something about religion, and so was going to be subject to prosecution under their blasphemy laws.
That was just awesome news.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's a lot of negative things to say about what's happening in the United States right now, but the First Amendment as it stands, as far as it protects free speech, is actually kind of phenomenal the world over. But staying on point, as I'm wont to do, I don't know, it's the UN. Just let people show up and serve, God.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe
Everyone
is
gets
it
a
of
plus
anyone?
one period.
Was
if
this
it's their
before?
kid, if it's their friend Ralph, it doesn't matter. Just let them be diplomats. Christ.
Was this before or after the UN laughed at Trump?
It went into effect after,
Probably
but
after.
they originally flagged the new policy back in July.
Okay, so
Right.
it wasn't just a tantrum.
Right.
No. It's possible that if you wanted to throw conspiracies, it would be possible for the administration to foresee Donald Trump's speech not going over well. But I think it's, and just being like, you know what, he's going to need some kind of revenge after they're done responding to what he says.
Yeah.
And if this were revenge by him, it wouldn't be quite this subtle.
No, it wouldn't.
You know what? That's a fair point.
Yeah, it would be like, get rid of all the,
We're pulling out of the UN. Screw them all.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, we did pull out of the Human Rights Council.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Gross.
And
Not like we can make a contribution anymore.
Well, to be clear, I was pretty sure that at one point Saudi Arabia was going to chair. And so it was sort of like,
I'm pretty sure they did share.
Yeah,
Why
they
not?
did share. It's sort of,
Yeah.
why not? But also, the United States is just gone. Saudi Arabia is still around. This speaks volumes to where our nation is at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's difficult because there are people that I know that, don't see the current administration and the way that it affects people of different religions and the world over, and all of this don't see the Trump administration for what it is, and it gets difficult for me to understand how they don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I need to become your crazy, grandfather and forward you an email that's been forwarded 100 times already? Except
Actually,
fact-check it?
piggybacking off of that, one of the reasons why that blasphemy law really needed to go was because Ireland was a first world nation and they still had that archaic law. And places like Saudi Arabia and the like pointed to Ireland and said, look, that's a first world nation doing that thing. That legitimizes us doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, you know, people don't think about that kind of implication when it comes to Trump and this administration.
Yeah. Because
countries around the world point to us and say, hey, look, you know.
A clown.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
we're not so bad.
They have the death penalty.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
You know, they have Guantanamo Bay, you know.
Yeah, we can have our own.
Exactly.
Yeah, really. No. I mean, really, that did work as a recruiting tool for like Al Qaeda and everything. Was, hey, look, this is what they do.
Yeah.
Fight.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in any case,
It absolves them because, you know, we are a world leader. We are the biggest world leader. And, you know, if we don't set a good example, then who the fuck will?
yeah. I mean, it's weird, and you get the counter from particularly people that went to my university that like, oh, the United States has this inflated image of its importance, and oh, the United States thinks more of itself, et cetera, et cetera. And sure, to a degree, we do, yeah, we do. But we're the most significant member of NATO, one of 5 permanent members on the Security Council. The U.S. currency is somewhere between 85 and 88% of all currency trading. Our hard and soft power is kind of baked in to a large degree. Yeah, the amount of money that we spend on our military, which is stationed all around the world, dwarfs the total GDP of I don't even know how many countries. It's significant. We got to get it right.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary. This is a couple of years ago, a Netflix documentary, talking about should America be the world's police force, basically, not just militarily, but in lots of different aspects. And it was interesting. I was generally of the idea that we should not be as present in everything, everywhere, all the time as we currently are. This documentary made a good point, though, that a lot of countries, because we've been doing it for so long, a lot of countries now rely on this to do this and support them and things like that. So if we were just to pull out of everything and say, you know, we're going to focus on America first or whatever, that could cause lots and lots of problems.
There are significant things that we could do. I mean, we have numerous military bases in Germany.
Oh, yeah.
Still,
You know, and around the world, we have hundreds upon hundreds of military bases that cost billions of dollars a year just to maintain.
Yeah.
We're pissing that money away, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a lot of money out the door, actually. I think, I don't know, it may have been my upbringing, right? But when I was growing up, there was the point that was made to me and that I echoed of people were talking about, oh, when are we going to get out of Iraq? When are we going to get out of Afghanistan? When are we going to get out of this? And someone made the point, when are we going to get out of Germany and Japan?
Right.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, international relations is very interesting on that point, but, and it's probably my upbringing, but I kind of take the opposite view. I think perhaps I'm not as present as we are in everything, but I feel like if there is a power on the world stage that can be used to push, you know, even less than coercively, but just nudge the world in a direction towards human rights and education and equality, then we should, right? The problem is, there's 2 problems with that.
What's the downside?
Well, one problem is maintaining a moral high ground in order to do so.
Yeah.
Which we've lost now.
It is partly that. It's partly with great power comes great responsibility. You promoting the right worldview and humanitarian things like that is all well and good. Just be careful that you're not overstepping your bounds.
Yeah.
And pushing too much of, you know, this is what we think is right and this is what the rest of the world should do.
And of course, the world, if they look to the U.S., they can't make plans beyond 4 years.
Yeah.
Right?
2 in some cases.
Because now they'll be whipsawed between, you know, dramatically different
Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
executive
pulling out of
branches, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, pulling out of. Were you gonna say
The Iran deal?
Yeah, the Iran deal.
Yeah.
Also,
No, totally pulled the rug out from under moderates that wanted to work with us. That's what I was going to say.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, it kind of undermines our believability and like.
Yeah.
yeah.
We can't be trusted.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna.
I mean, I can be trusted.
We're gonna sign a treaty,
Right.
but it's only gonna last how many years?
Until the end of my administration.
Yeah.
Our 20-year deal may be canceled by the next administration.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ugh.
And I'm
And
I'm
what
blanking.
is
Yeah.
you know, what is an effort against global warming but a long-term
Exactly.
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
commitment?
I'm
no.
blanking. I'm blanking
Can't
on
do
the,
it.
the Paris Agreement. That's right.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah. That one
We
was
have no credibility right now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we didn't really have. I mean, we saw something similar when Bush was elected, because the world saw that as a joke. Of course.
Right.
Oh, this is preposterous. This is the
Those
most
were the days.
ridiculous world leader that could blah 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 blah, and he can't even say nuclear.
He's
Right.
a Harvard professor in comparison.
Yes.
I know, really. It's he made some statement in the aftermath of Charlottesville. I was like, oh wow, I miss it.
I know.
Because it was presidential.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Let's not normalize W too much.
No.
No. I mean,
a lot of people make that mistake in
Yeah.
the Trump era, and we should not be normalizing W.
No,
You know,
we shouldn't. But it kind of
He
is.
was
I mean, like,
far more preferable.
yeah, I would like
Horrible as
a
it
president that acknowledges that reality is shared between all people and that you have to stick with it.
Who's got at least a little bit of compassion and
Yeah.
a vocabulary somewhere above the second grade.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
But then he'll do and say something, and it's like,
to be clear, he does have
he was
compassion.
genuine. He was
Yeah.
genuine. Whereas Trump is just he's a fucking con man.
Yeah.
He's a bad one
Oh
too.
no.
He's such a bad liar.
We were talking about finding an issue that we could go back and forth on and disagree on, and now it's going to be Trump, and now I'm on the least favorable side of this because I have to say, well, no, he as far as being a human and having compassion, he does. And
That bar is kind of
if
low.
you grant him that.
well, no. And then as far as being a con man, you have to know that you're conning, and I think that he believes the things that he says, right? So
As he blurts them out. Yeah.
well, yeah. So he said that he was telling a joke to the UN and that they were laughing with him. I honestly believe that he believes that. It may be that on any given Sunday you can hear me taking calls with people that will, aren't that, I don't want to say far gone, but aren't that quite in the self-deluding category. But
Let's find our religious angle again.
Yeah. I
Well,
feel like we've gone off. on
yeah, we've
another
gone.
tangent.
Yeah. Oh, sure. You guys would say that when I started to disagree.
Good job, Jamie.
Yeah. No, it's.
Yeah.
It is. We've been going tangent to tangent, but basically it's sort of we can link Trump to it, which is that he continues to be supported by the evangelical movement.
Yes.
It has made leaps and bounds in the last
Reasons we
actually just the
beyond
last
comprehension.
2 decades have been a spectacular 2 decades for the religious. I mean, the phrase religious right rubs some people the wrong way, some moderate people and some people that are believers, but I don't think they necessarily watch this show. But like theocrats and Christian theocrats in this country have made headway leaps and bounds over the last 2 decades, which actually address in a deep dive a bit later. But yeah. So if you have, were we passing on the? I mean, the listener mail that we have is last week's.
I have a story.
Oh, you have a story.
All right,
I have a story.
Excellent. What do you got?
Well, let's see. The headline is a watchdog group announces it will spend $1 million probing Catholic cardinals. That's
Phrasing.
It's
beautiful
That is
phrasing,
inappropriate.
Inappropriate. Wow. Okay.
It says, the Better Church Governance Group, an organization that includes 6 former U.S. cardinals on its board of trustees and is funded by a number of wealthy Catholics, announced last night that it would spend more than $1 million over the next year to investigate every current member of the College of Cardinals, the people who elect popes, in an effort to shine a light on any credibly accused of child sexual abuse or covering up that abuse.
Cool.
This sounds great.
Yeah, because there's a member that was, well, I think he died. I think it was, he died. Mm-hmm. There was one. The Archbishop of the Boston Diocese.
Right.
Yeah, was there.
Do we have any idea how many people this investigation will...
I mean, he said...
don't know.
He said everyone in the College of Cardinals.
College of Cardinals.
Yes.
I don't know how many that is.
Yeah,
It's a lot. It is a
lot.
Because
multiple
$1 million
hundred.
doesn't go very far these days.
It's multiple hundred, I think. Or it's more than
That's
100.
like $5 per
get a-
cardinal.
Yeah, the goal is to
Exactly.
produce...
It's one person making a phone call saying, hey, have you done anything bad lately? Nope.
Cool. All right, you're set.
Yeah.
Right.
No, the goal is to produce a comprehensive report by April of 2020, presumably while Pope Francis is still in office and before his successor is chosen.
I mean, yeah,
Pope
he
Francis?
serves
Yeah,
for
let's
life.
see.
Planning on him having a successor already?
I mean, I'm sure there's some people praying for it.
Is he saying he's going to step down or something?
No,
I don't know.
I think they're saying,
Yeah,
and it will be before the next one.
Yeah.
within 2 years.
Could be
Yeah,
30
they
years.
generally
Yeah.
go
We hope.
until,
they die.
just die.
Yeah, it's 99%.
Something like that. The Red Hat report, dubbed as the group's flagship project, is designed to audit all 124 current papal electors.
Oh,
Okay,
fuck
so-
me.
Organizers say it will be conducted by a team of, to date, nearly 100 researchers, academics, investigators, and journalists, with the aim to hold the hierarchy of the Catholic Church accountable for abuse and corruption, and to develop and support honesty, clarity, and fidelity in church governance. Good luck.
Good luck. But I was going to say, wow, there's good
That's
news
interesting.
out of the
Yeah.
Vatican.
Wow.
Well, I suppose it's not out of the Vatican. Good news relating to the Vatican.
I didn't think we were going to have any good news
Ever.
at all tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's just, I've got one, but it's just funny.
Well, yeah, you have a funny one.
Yeah.
But mostly we've got
Terrible.
terrible
mostly have terrible stuff, yeah.
doom.
It's also said that 10 former FBI agents are involved in the investigation.
Really?
With 2 individuals being the agency's former lead investigators on ecclesiastical matters.
The FBI has a specific post
don't
for ecclesiastical
know. That
matters?
sounds
They
that
got
way.
connections.
Yeah, the ratings for each cardinal were one from strong evidence of abuse corruption to some evidence to positive evidence against abuse corruption.
Wait.
If such a report has been produced
Positive
before the previous
evidence against
conclave.
abuse.
So wait, there's 3 ratings.
Right.
We have strong evidence, we have some evidence, we have evidence that they didn't do it.
Right.
How can you have evidence they didn't do it?
I don't know.
What about no evidence?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Exactly. That would
One
be
would
the more
have
logical
to
one.
presume that was the
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, is there a specific network and they're going to figure out
I
where
don't
the
know.
ends of the cover-up network are? I mean, that literally would be a conspiracy, but okay, well, cool. I want
Would
to
be interesting.
I was going to say I'll be happy to read another report, but I won't. I'll be unhappy, but I'll be glad that it exists.
At the very least, yeah.
Yeah, at the very least. Yeah.
If they have more resources, the group hopes to run a similar investigation of all the church's bishops, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I like it.
But for now, given the revelations of the grand jury report in Pennsylvania, it's clear there was a wide-scale cover-up that many current church leaders were involved in. While nearly a dozen state attorneys generals have announced similar investigations, this project would investigate one of the highest tiers of the church leadership across the world.
It's about
It
damn
should
time.
be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have been in the ACA to varying degrees for nearly approaching 20 years now.
Yes.
And this has been a story that's been going on for nearly 20 years
Yes.
now.
I sense some pessimism.
keep asking, why are there still Catholics?
Exactly. How is this still around that, I can understand maybe on the first day they didn't say, let's shut down the whole thing.
Right.
But over 20 years, you'd think something would have changed.
Vast abuse and vast cover-ups.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, it is systemic.
But apparently,
at some point, you have to say, well, I'm complicit in this. I don't want to be. I quit.
Do you? Because clearly people don't. No.
yeah, I mean, when you tithe, it
Yeah.
goes up to the top. You are not just giving money to your local church.
Right.
That money
doesn't all go to Father
flows
Bob.
up.
It goes.
You really are complicit.
It is, it is being used to cover up abuse. It's like,
apparently
wow.
the occasional soup kitchen is enough to overcome child rape.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
but it's a tradition, and no one thinks about it, like lying to your kids about Santa or whatever.
Child rape tradition is not something that should be banned.
No, I agree, but I'd like to point out that that's not the change that's happening. It's not large groups of people saying, well, we're not Catholics anymore. It's Catholics with money saying, okay, we'll pay for something else that makes the thing that we are also still paying for work better.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a positive step, but I don't know, guys. I don't know that that's going to change that much. Right? Like it may just be that the scale is too large for people to take like a reasonable action towards, right? 'Cause if it was like one priest, then there could be like, oh, well, that priest obviously
Just
needs
a bad
to go.
apple, and he's gone, and problem
Yeah,
solved.
he's gone, and then if he didn't leave, people would stop going to that church, and they would
Right.
go down the road, or they just wouldn't attend for a while, or whatever.
Yeah.
But because the scale is so large, it's there's
can't
some
escape it.
You can't escape it, right? Like there's some
Yeah.
quote from, I'm pretty sure it was Stalin, like 1 death is a tragedy, 10 deaths is a massacre, 100,000 deaths is a statistic.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, the scale escapes.
Too big to comprehend.
It's too big,
So,
yeah. When you say thousands of children the world over in hundreds of countries, it's beyond.
At a
that.
point, your eyes just kind of glaze over.
Yeah,
And
they have
actually,
to.
I was going to mention. It reminded me of one of the old Eddie Izzard jokes of like, guys like Hitler and Stalin and Pol Pot. At a certain point, the scale of death becomes so enormous that you're just like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Good job. You must get up very early in the morning.
Yeah. Like,
Well, I have another story
Yeah.
that I
I
don't
think
know
that's
is
from Dress to Kill.
connected, but could be.
conspiracy? No. What is
Pope Francis called upon all Catholics of the world to root out this culture of death surrounding child sexual abuse. In the midst of sexual abuse crisis in several countries and on the heels of Pennsylvania's recent grand jury report dealing decades of abuse cover-ups within the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis wrote an unprecedented letter Monday exhorting all Catholics across the globe to help root out this culture of death, vowing there would be no more cover-ups This is via Reuters. Is that how you pronounce it?
Reuters, yeah.
Reuters, whatever. No. So the phrase "culture of death," I went to Catholic high school, is what was used to describe modern culture that was
Really?
okay
Okay.
with condoms or abortion or strippers.
And now they're
or
using
whatever.
it for...
for now the culture of death is inside the walls. It's the child rape as well as the grand theft
Now,
auto.
I wonder if this is in response to the previous article. Probably not, but it sure... It sounds fun to draw a parallel, to draw connections between these two things.
I mean,
I doubt it.
I doubt
All
it.
right,
Like,
Alex Jones.
I was gonna
calm
say.
down.
I know.
Post hoc ergo propter hoc, sir.
Yeah, because he's going, I better, before they start uncovering all these bishops, I better say, we're going to root them out. Then it'll all be on me. Yay.
Well,
he's been complicit since day one. I mean, he said that he was going to fix this, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
well, actually, I can throw in a kind of counterpoint. I'm not sure to what degree he can, because there's a large cover up, and he needs like assistance to do that.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
Going back to what we were saying earlier, this is a very potentially large-scale problem. And say he's going to come in and fix this, 2-3 decade-old problem in 6 months.
Yeah.
Unrealistic.
Well, just as a context, the child rape has been going on for more than 2 decades. It's just been exposed for only a couple of...
Yeah.
When was the initial exposure? I mean, the Boston Globe did their thing in the 1990s. I was too young to be there and remember.
I can't remember. I think
I bear no fault in not knowing the date. Okay, whatever.
Something around that.
But it's been like a few decades. Yeah. That's just over 20. As you said.
That's a long time in dog years.
Yeah. And which of course was all covered in the movie Spotlight, which won Best Picture, which should.
Great
it was
movie.
It's the only Oscar prediction that I've ever gotten correct, because I know that the Best Picture they pick for like, grander, different reasons, and it was like, they're gonna eat the shit out of this.
This is the one.
This is the one. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see it turn, right? Like I feel oftentimes like a young whippersnapper, because a lot of the people that are here have been here for a decade, multiple decades, dedicating their time. They've been atheists for longer than I have, or atheists longer than I've been alive in some cases, which is often weird. But the world, particularly in the United States, is changing a lot, right? Like the statistics on non-believers in the United States are shooting up, and like the public opinion on things like that is turning. And I think it's in part because the culture warriors have shown their hand as far as what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Total theocracy.
Total theocracy.
Crap,
and I
man.
feel like I feel like they really missed a trip by continuing to back Kavanaugh. Because it's it's all about abortion. It doesn't matter if he raped someone, is kind of a quote that you've gotten on the news from someone who is from some guy that was associated with Women for Kavanaugh. There's
the bus that says Women for Kavanaugh. I counted. There was actually, I think, one more man than there was women in the photo that I saw.
Yes, I saw that shot. That's great. It's hilarious.
Of course.
So it's rough. Well, it's near the actual statistical balance of people.
It's a couple of guys' wives for Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, women can be wrong about things too, guys. It's okay.
How progressive of you.
No.
Go out on that limb.
Oh my God. That's going to get...
What? We can be wrong?
Because it's sort of like at a certain point, even if you alienate all but the most extreme of your base, you push all of the not most extreme of your base away. And in a way, it's sort of like, people now realize this is a problem and are starting to be active about it. Thank you, Trump, I guess. Really? I know. It's the most disheartening.
That'd be a stretch, but...
No, really, though. Well, here, actually, I think, Kevin, your next story is Kavanaugh related.
Yeah, we were bound to get there eventually.
Yeah, I was.
Is there a religious angle?
Yes, Master of Tangents was tangenting in a direction today. So.
Okay.
Ish.
Okay. Go for it.
I'm going to say no.
Well, so here
I'm not really familiar with this Josh Bernstein guy.
Oh.
But Josh Bernstein, Christine Baisley Ford was a sexual predator.
This is a quote from him.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And to be honest, before I read this little bit here, I was really expecting some kind of crazy mental gymnastics, and I was sorely disappointed.
Really?
Dispense with that, just make the accusation. That's all you need these days.
No, she did it.
Like, nope. It's the opposite of
Have you
what
ever
you've
done that?
seen.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read you just a little bit of
I'm
this.
rubber, you're glue.
Yeah. Let's see.
That's a kink I haven't heard of before. Sorry. Kevin, you were reading a story?
Yeah. So yeah, right-wing commentator Josh Bernstein, blah blah blah. Sorry. So here's his quote. It sounds like a jilted lover, Bernstein said. It sounds like somebody that liked him, but he was more interested in going to Yale and keeping a clean profile and doing what he was supposed to do, and she was probably the sexual predator. I don't believe, as many Republicans and conservatives say, that something happened to her, Bernstein said. No, nothing happened to her in her entire life. She's never had anything done to her, and if anything, she and her Holton Arms sexual culture were predatory against the boys at Georgetown Prep.
Wow.
People need to wake up and see the facts and the truth, because the truth is that her and her friends at that disgusting Holton Arms all-girls school were nothing but a sorority of sexual predators.
Wow.
They're right.
Really,
and so she assassinates herself
Yeah.
to attack Kavanaugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
That doesn't bring up the motivation for coming at
That swings the pendulum so far to the other side.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of
That's Alex Jones level
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
bullshit.
yeah.
You see what I mean? You were
Transdimensional aliens.
expecting
I was expecting
you-
something. Yeah.
Fucking-
No. Just like
We don't need nuance.
yeah. I was sort of like, okay, if she's a sexual predator, he's going to say that, oh, he did drink beer and then she spiked his beer or something like that. And it's like, nope, it's just that she, with her slutty ways, was a slut. That's
Right.
Yeah. Later, he went on to say he went on to say later also that like, oh, have you seen her yearbook? They talked about
Because
wearing golden thongs
or
and shit like that. And
okay, so clearly he's seen Kavanaugh's yearbook, and he can still say, what was it? He said, keeping his nose clean. What was the quote? Keeping a clean...
Yale. And,
keeping a clean profile so he could go to Yale.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm talking about what he would think isn't a clean profile. But I'm sorry. This is a person who's like, oh, yeah, Devil's Triangle. Oh, here's this, that, and the other. And who, in the hearing, lied about what a Devil's Triangle is and said it was a drinking game. Yeah, but totally clean profile. It was all Dr. Ford. I don't even
understand why they even have to go in this far of a direction.
Yeah.
It's to a certain extent. My mind can be wrapped around the idea that I'm not saying I agree with this, but I can understand people saying, I don't believe the stories against Kavanaugh. Maybe he did drink in high school and college. Who didn't? Big deal. He's lying about it now. It's a small issue that he's lying about. So, okay, he should be on the Supreme Court. You know, we agree with his views and things like that.
You can form a reasonable objection.
Exactly. That is not, completely out of the realm of possibility.
More reasonable, I should say.
But saying that, no, I can't justify it, so I'm going to call the accuser, some little harlot in this school who's sexually a predator towards him. Like, do you really need to go there?
And it
Well, they
see that
They've
so
got to
often.
win. They've got to win at any cost.
You see that so often.
Any cost.
If a woman has ever had fun in her life, she apparently can't be a fucking victim.
What a tart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a story that parallels this.
Parallel lines.
May I?
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't. It wasn't Kavanaugh's fault, and it wasn't the Catholic Church's fault. Catholic bishop, secularism, and birth control is to blame for pedophile priests.
Oh, fuck.
You can't win. That's why they're still Catholic, because it's not the Catholics' fault. It's those darn secularism and birth control. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes you...
That makes you
that
wrong.
makes clergy pedophiles.
Yeah.
So if the gay
Which
priests
is like,
use
what the hell?
condoms, does that make it better or worse?
Worse, because condoms are worse than AIDS, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Bishop Thomas Peprocki joined other church leaders in blaming secular culture and birth control for church sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, in response to the recent Pennsylvania grand jury. Yeah, that's...
I mean, they
Those
always
priests
go to the
weren't
extreme.
using birth control, though.
Probably not.
Yeah,
Probably
probably
not.
not.
I think that was probably low on their list of concerns.
As far as I'm aware,
Yeah.
they didn't use any birth control. I don't see the relevance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, actually, let's
Well, if the relevance is it's something else we can blame. That's the
None of
relevance.
the 12-year-old boys had
We
condoms
can
with them, therefore
obfuscate.
it wasn't needed. So,
wait.
sorry.
No,
Sorry.
that's
Sorry.
good. That's good. I like a challenge. I have absolutely no way to respond to that whatsoever. Oh my gosh. All right, here, Kevin, will you get us with your next SCOTUS one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I found this a little disturbing. This is about the priest or pastor that runs the White House weekly prayers.
Oh yeah, the White House Bible study or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. Are you at all familiar with this guy?
No.
I've never met him.
I've seen. I can't remember. It was a couple of months back. He was actually bragging about how amazing it was that he would talk. He would give a sermon or whatever. And a week or so later, he would see the ripple effect from that sermon.
Ugh.
He would see comments from people within the White House or legislation put forth that mirrored what he was saying in his sermon.
Well, that scares the fuck out of me.
Should have been a
if it's
preacher.
true.
Should have been a fucking
It's-
preacher.
It's really frightening.
Yeah.
So Trump cabinet Bible study leader prays Justice Kavanaugh will invite him to lead SCOTUS sessions. So yeah.
To be clear, Kavanaugh, they didn't hold the vote in the last hour and I missed it, right?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did I just say Justice Kavanaugh? The Supreme Court nominee.
Nominee.
Never mind. Sorry.
God damn it, Jamie.
Whatever. Finish the story, nightmare, whatever it is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, but Ralph Drollinger.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
He doesn't need his name pronounced correctly.
Fuck
It's
him.
fine.
Yeah.
A pastor who runs weekly Bible study meetings for members of Trump's cabinet and members of the House and Senate suggested today that Brett Kavanaugh might start attending the cabinet members' study or even start one in the Supreme Court if he's confirmed. Drollinger teaches that the Bible mandates right-wing economic and social policies, positions he lays out in written weekly Bible studies that supplement his personal gatherings.
Well,
Bullshit.
fuck you, you unelected pile of shit.
He's a random ass pastor.
Yeah.
He's wrong.
And he is
He's communist
insane.
in the Bible.
He is
What are you
insanely.
talking about?
All the voting in the Bible. Yeah.
Yeah. And Jesus said, "Go forth there and elect my followers to the Roman Senate so that we can pass laws, so that the Roman centurions will enforce my teachings. Go forth, children." Oh, motherfucker.
It's amazing how possibly influential this random asshole is that
yeah. There's a lot of that going around.
that most people have
never heard of.
Yeah. Most people don't know who this guy is, and I don't even know how to calculate just how much influence he has.
I have to say again, I never wanted to hate people this much. I didn't go looking for it.
I mean, there's more. I got.
Oh, no.
Hold yourself together, man.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Drollinger was speaking at a day-long National Prayer Assembly that religious right leaders held in Washington, D.C. The event was broadcast on live Facebook page. Strolliner told participants that this week is a watershed moment in returning America to righteousness.
Wow.
It's not even wrong. I can't say wrong loudly because it's not even wrong. Is
that how you would characterize the last week?
No. Actually, that's that.
No.
Actually, Kevin, I disagree with this pastor's characterization of the previous 7 days. As controversial as I know that statement would be in this crowd.
Yes.
No. The part where they're like, "Oh, you've got an unfair trial because people actually want to know if you raped someone."
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, how many of these people were in favor of, what was it, extreme vetting?
Is that what it's called?
Yeah. It's
extreme vetting.
Well, you take a second look at the Muslims, I think is what they called it internally. But
Sunday, extreme vetting.
Extreme vetting for, people coming into the country who are mostly women and children. Little to no vetting whatsoever for a Supreme Court justice.
Well, but he coaches a basketball team.
Oh, and
so
he's a dad. He's a
dad
too.
Yeah,
he's got a family.
It's only a lifetime appointment.
Yeah,
it's only a lifetime appointment,
man.
And there's a basketball court that the Supreme Court has. So
I hear it's the highest court in the land.
All right, Jesus,
so funny.
Yeah. Insert joke about how it's going to have to be the highest group of people to get through this court in the land. I don't know.
Right.
But actually, let me dovetail on that for what I want to start doing episode by episode, which is kind of taking a deep dive into something, which is basically...
Go for it.
All right. It's basically, how did we get to the point where this is what public opinion was, and this is where legislators and governors and our country was as far as, actual things that are good and bad don't matter because Jesus. And I think you've probably heard the phrase Project Blitz before.
Yep.
A little bit, maybe.
Actually, no.
Explain.
Okay.
It is surprisingly,
it's surprisingly not covered as much. So Project Blitz, here, we'll start with, it was uncovered by, I think, in large part, Americans United, but I'll start with an article from The Guardian titled Project Blitz, the legislative assault by Christian nationalists to reshape America. Since Donald Trump became president, right-wing groups are helping flood state legislatures with bills that promote hardline Christian conservative views. It's reporting by David Taylor in New York. The emboldened religious right has unleashed a wave of legislation across the United States since Donald Trump became president as part of an organized bid to impose hardline Christian values across American society. This is me editorializing, but some might just call that theocracy.
Yeah.
A playbook.
Call it what it is.
Yeah, a playbook known as Project Blitz. I'll call it what it is, a playbook for theocracy, developed by a collection of Christian groups, has provided state politicians with a set of off-the-shelf pro-Christian, quote, model bills. So it's a lobbying effort at the state level, actually, successful.
Kill me.
So there's some legislation uses verbatim language from the model bills created by the group called the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation, or CPCF. Because if they had 3 C's and a P, they would think they were communists or something. I don't know. Set up by former Republican congressman, which has a stated aim to, quote, this is the CPCF, the Congressional Prayer Caucus Foundation, describing itself, quote, protect religious freedom, preserve America's Judeo-Christian heritage, and promote prayer. It's always prayer with them. Do they know that there's a difference between laws and prayer?
Do they know that prayer doesn't work?
They definitely don't know that. So it's at least 75 bills have been brought forward in more than 20 states during the 2017-2018 period of time alone, which appear to be modeled on or have similar objectives to the playbook, according to Americans United for the Separation of Church and State, a fantastic organization that you should consider donating to. a campaign group which tracks legislation that undermines the principle of the separation of church and state.
Yes.
Opponents warn that the CPCF, which claims more than 600 politicians as members across state legislatures, is using the banner of, quote, religious freedom to impose Christianity on American public life, American public, political, and cultural life. So it is effectively the lobbying arm of the culture war. And it's doing so far too effectively for anyone to be calm.
You said over 600.
Over 600. More than 600 politicians across state legislatures. So, for example, in Alabama, Arizona, Florida, Louisiana, and Tennessee,
Exactly where you'd expect.
Exactly where you'd expect. Somehow Texas escaped that one. So-called, quote, "In God We Trust" bills have become law since 2017, which will see the phrase emblazoned on public buildings, hung in schools, and displayed on the side of public vehicles, including police cars.
Oh, yeah. I see it on police cars here all the time.
Yeah. You may be in Austin, but you're still in Texas.
Yeah. And for those of you who haven't seen, they are taking full advantage of this. They are in schools. They are putting it in every single classroom.
Yep.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah. They're trying to normalize this as much as possible.
Yeah. So a lot of the bills are things like putting "In God We Trust" fucking everywhere for no good reason, and then spending millions of public dollars to defend their right to do so, and then ultimately lose in court. For now. Because eventually those court cases can get appealed to the Supreme Court, which may have people who have all but explicitly stated, "I am a Christian theocrat." So it's, I can't remember whether it's Kavanaugh or Gorsuch or both that said, yes, I see a place for Christian religion in American law.
It was probably both.
Yeah, it's probably both.
One of them said
anything
the
I
other
could
one
say about
thought.
that would be actionable. So
Yeah.
I won't say anything.
And actually, before we move on, do you want to give some context for why "In God We Trust" is so problematic for those of
Yeah.
our viewers that don't know?
"In God We Trust" is now the national motto, which is the only quote unquote secular grounds they have to claim it, and it became the national motto in 1956, I believe. 1954.
I corrected you last
I
week.
believe. Yes. I have now been twice corrected, and hopefully at least once learned. In 1954, because the communists were godless heathens, and we wanted to be more Jesus than them.
Yeah, you mentioned theocrats, and that reminded me. Oh, we need to talk about why we have "In God We Trust."
As a motto, and it's this idea of we're not a communist nation, we're a Christian nation. Those Reds and their red communism, there's no reference to economic collectives in the Bible among the I've just been informed by the powers that actually be on the other side of the wall that I was correct. "In God We Trust" was 1954, which is on all of our money.
Yeah.
And that under God added to the Pledge of Allegiance is 1954. And that "In God We Trust," which is on all of the money, except for the money that I carry, because I also carry a Sharpie, is on all of our money.
I was half right.
Yeah. Well, then so was I.
And part of the reason was no one could read Latin, and so "e pluribus unum" didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that and you try telling Dixieland that they should be proud of, out of many, we are one union. Union.
Right,
From many states, from many colonies, we became one nation.
Yeah, it's almost like something actually related to the history of our country was our motto, and then it became Jesus.
Makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, and then it became Jesus by decidedly not the result of prayer. So I'm going to do my best not to just be a snarky asshole for the rest of this.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. But no, so a lot of these are largely symbolic, right? But they're the first stage on the way to more hardline laws. And they say that. They say, oh, we'll do these largely symbolic things, and then it will be a pathway to that. That's why they want to change Texas curriculums, which they did here recently. It's another potential story. They ended up removing all kinds of people, Helen Keller. They also removed Hillary Clinton recently from the Texas educational standards for history and inserted Moses back.
Right.
Did they give any reason for that? Because I missed
Jesus.
I missed that.
No, probably
So
not.
does that mean that when the history books talk about the last election, Trump ran against redacted?
Trump ran against Black Line and won gloriously against the blur of Satan. Actually, it would be like Trump ran against the physical embodiment of Satan and defeated Satan and won the election by -3 million votes. And that's how he became supreme leader.
Well, I'm pretty sure I heard Alex Jones say that she was literally possessed by a demon.
Oh, yeah. No.
Wow.
Maybe
Obama is.
Was it in
17%
like
of voters
demon?
in Virginia believe that she was literally actually Satan. But probably more widespread is the belief that it was like a mid-level demon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like a level 6 demon.
On a scale of what?
I have no idea.
Middle management of hell.
Yeah, middle management. So they got like the general manager of Hell's Arby's to come and possess Hillary Clinton.
Right. Wow, Christians have the ability to detect supernatural beings, correctly identify which supernatural being it is, and now they get to determine
it gets way more
exactly the rank of that.
Well, there's what kind of angel was it? Was it a guardian angel or was it a guiding angel?
Right.
Really?
Well, they just check their IDs.
Yeah. Well, because even the angels are pro ID laws.
That's right.
So the
papers, please.
Yeah. But so even though initially a lot of these are symbolic, they say that they are a pathway to more hardline laws. They are presented as measures to preserve religious liberty, but are intended to give businesses, pastors, and child care providers the right to discriminate against LGBT people in line with their, quote, sincerely held religious beliefs, end quote. So Samantha Sokol, who studied the bills for Americans United for Separation of Church and State campaign group, said, quote, "In God We Trust bills are the most common. We had 26 of those. They really just exploded this year." I mean, really, it's...
Right.
It is a movement. They describe themselves that way. They have, I hate to be that person, but they declared a culture war and are continuing to fight it.
Yeah, they're not being subtle.
Your choice is, do you think that you should fight back or at least form part of some kind of
They're extremely
resistance.
overt, but the coverage has been very sparse.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been, as far as I'm aware, one story that the New York Times did once on Project Blitz that was like, wow, look.
It was fucked up.
And then they moved on because Trump tweeted something. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on, but I mean, I don't know. We'll come back to it for more details because I think we're coming to the end of the show, and there's only so much that people can hear me sarcastically and snarkily read every other line.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I think that it is time for the fan favorite segment that hasn't been around the last couple of weeks, and that's on me. But Kevin, I believe that you found something. You found some shit that internet apologists say that you would like to share.
I kind of wanted to do that.
No,
I'll do it
so
next
Kevin,
time.
what do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I stole your shit. No.
No, it's all right. Yeah, Christian prophet Chris McDonald. I think he is the.
Have I heard him before?
I think he's the firefighter Christian prophet.
Okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
There are a lot of Christian firefighters. Really, though?
Yeah, but he's the firefighter Christian prophet, though.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it okay? I hate to be pedantic. Do you mean he like actually fights actual fires, or is he talking about like spiritual fires of hell?
No, I think he's an actual
firefighter.
Yeah.
Okay, so he extinguishes flames.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just you can never tell whether it's a spiritual metaphor or whether they actually believe.
I'm looking at a picture of him, and yeah, retired fireman, prophet, Mark Taylor, and he's got
Prophet?
Yeah, I mean,
Self-described prophet.
I could tell by the mustache. I didn't have to read.
that he was a
Tell by the
firefighter.
mustache, he was a retired fireman. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So self-proclaimed prophet, shocker. Who recently,
it's not an official title you can get, so.
Yeah.
Isn't it though? Can't you get it from somewhere? Can I print off?
Recently claimed Donald Trump was opposed by child-eating demons.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Now says Hurricane Florence was a man-made storm meant to destroy evidence of alleged voter fraud in North Carolina.
Wow.
The fuck?
Wow.
Right?
Oh my God. Okay, he's a prophet, but it wasn't spiritual forces that did it. It was a man-made.
Election fraud.
It was
and then we caused a
man-made
hurricane
machine.
to cover it up.
A hurricane machine.
Wow.
Right. That's
okay.
something.
Yeah. So wait.
Well, he just took all the miracle out of it, didn't he?
Yeah. And
what kind of prophet is that? You took the God out of the God thing. Doesn't God do that?
Yeah, God's supposed to send volcanoes and hurricanes.
I guess that does solve a little bit more of the problem with evil, though. When you
That it was
when you
secretly
say,
demons
yeah,
all
when
along.
you say, well, what about
Always
natural
people.
disasters?
It was
They're all man-made.
It was the deep state that's causing all of the natural disasters.
It's not
because
God.
yeah.
What about
So all the natural disasters that hit DC, those were also.
How many Bucks fans does it take to start a hurricane?
I don't. Yeah, that's a good question. It's dry ice from a plane.
Right,
I don't
right.
know. I don't know.
They
That
really up the
seems-
chemtrails and then,
So that's what chemtrails are for.
Sure, why not?
Because it clearly can't be inhalants because they dissipate too much. Is there more of this
Yeah,
crap?
no, I've got a
Bring it on.
quote from him.
Oh.
Whole world of insanity.
All right, hold on. I'm ready.
Hear from the man himself.
Seatbelts.
Messing up.
All right, bring the quote.
I saw where North Carolina,
Very good.
I'm probably butchering the North Carolina accent. Well, he's not even from. Had done the voter fraud stuff for the machines for this, that, and the other.
Oh my
They
God.
had caught it or something like that. They were going after it, Taylor said. I said, oh boy. Sure enough, here comes the hurricane, bigger than life. And I just found out literally through another source of mine, contact this morning.
The fuck?
Sure enough, they said it was in fact man-made and generated by a HAARP system. Basically.
Right.
And it was meant to try and flood North Carolina and flood out evidence of what was going on with the voter fraud.
This is a learned man.
I
Yeah.
had
This is a
trouble-
man that
I had trouble
understands
following that.
voting machine, that understands machines. He understands hurricanes. He understands evidence. He said AARP?
No,
Like the-
HARP. It's a weird.
Oh, it's like weather actually
Yeah,
related.
some
Okay, for a second I
strange
was like, and the retirees,
radar,
they hate voting.
some sort of thing. Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God!
weird.
I was like, my parents are members of
A
AARP.
favorite of
Did they
creation,
do it?
a favorite of
Yeah.
conspiracy theorists everywhere.
Is that they're controlling the weather?
Yeah, it says, the HARP is a system cited by conspiracy nuts as a program designed to manipulate the weather. Acclaimed scientists deny because that's not how weather works.
No,
It's not how any of
shit.
this works.
Yeah, it's not how this works.
I find it ironic that people of this political, religious bent.
Persuasion.
They're also the same people who will deny, climate change.
Oh, yeah.
And say that, you're so arrogant to claim that humans can have any effect on the weather.
Right.
Unless it's the government. Then they're
And he's trying to wash away evidence of voter fraud. Which way? I mean, if he's pro-Trump, he must obviously think that it's Hillary's, the Democrats'
Wait, did Hillary win North Carolina?
weird, sneaky way of getting the vote.
Oh, jeez, I can't remember.
Don't know.
Don't
know.
It's North Carolina.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't.
How could it possibly be?
I got a brother from North Carolina, so he's awesome.
He's not that guy, is he?
All right.
No, I was gonna say. Well, sorry for making fun of your brother, but he does not understand how voting works, how machines work, how weather works, how grammar works.
He's not Florida man. All right.
He's not Florida man. That's true. There are probably fewer crocodiles in whatever. Oh my God. I don't even know. I wanted to
Pretty freaking insane.
get at least one kind of fun, kind of uplifting.
Lest we forget, there are still crazy people out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lest we forget, the world can still be amusing.
Yeah, well, since Alex Jones is off a bunch of social media stuff, we need to replace him with some drooling idiot. Yeah.
Do we though? Do we have to? Can we just?
do it?
No, we don't have
What if
to.
what if everyone just had like the one local guy with a little kooky ideas who lived on the corner, and everyone went, "Oh, there's the guy on the corner."
The kooky idea.
Yeah, the kooky idea guy in my neighborhood thinks that flamingos rule the world, and it's like, cool.
Well, that's harmless.
It would bring like a colorful experience back to travel that's been removed by chain restaurants.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's go to Arby's with your neighborhood kook and see what he has to say about what's in the special sauce and what it's going to do to my brain. In any case, unless you guys have something, then I think Dennis, it may be time to take us out.
Man, that went by quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will take us out there. You see how they twist our arguments into lies with logical clarity? Make no mistake, they'll be back in 2 weeks on the 17th of October with more of their persecution and blaspheming and thinking. Hallelujah!